Now, if you're anything like me, right now, you feel like you're in a bit of a gaming drought. Now, sure, there's Helldivers, it's booming. Overwatch is always an option if you want to be angry and hate everybody. And Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero is coming out, which I'm looking forward to. But gameranx here has brought us a video listing the top 10 new games of October. So we're going to check it out and give our opinion. Here we go. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. I will link their video in the description. Be sure to go check out their channel as well. And I have it fucking muted.
So starting off at number 10, it's SpongeBob SquarePants, the Patrick Star game. This is a physics-based sandbox adventure, as they are calling it. And of course, it's set in the world of SpongeBob. This one comes to us by way of PHL Collective, a developer that I wasn't really aware of, but has done various games. Probably most high profile is his DC League of Super Pets, which was a rail shooter that came out a couple of years ago. Actually, not a terrible game. Kind of a Star Fox-like, which is not what you...
I loved the SpongeBob movie game, but that was probably the only SpongeBob game that I can remember that I've played that I've actually enjoyed, and this does not look like it's going to play like that at all, so I'm not particularly interested in this game.
You would expect based on the fact it's a DC game, but clearly PHL works with licenses, and this is the latest one. It's a Patrick Star-oriented game. There hasn't been one of those before, so basically it's an open world action adventure game. You can roam around Bikini Bottom, you can interact with a bunch of stuff there. What's particular to this one is the fact that it has a physics system. You can push, pull, blast objects around. In some ways, I think it doesn't look like, but it kind of looks like it took some inspiration from something like Goat Simulator. But of course, it's a little more story-oriented and has a point, or at least looks like it does. I think there needs to be more physics-oriented, action-adventure-y, platformy type games like this.
Yeah, I'm not too interested in it, but, you know, that is that. Let's go on to the next one here.
Number 9 is Batman Arkham Shadow, and I have literally never, at any point, been as excited for any other VR game in the way I am excited for this game.
VR.
I don't currently have a Meta Quest 3, and if I can find one used, I'm going to buy one specifically for this game, because I actually want to own this game and have it in my house, rather than mooch off of other Meta Quest VRs. This is not the first Arkham VR game, but it's the first Arkham VR game that looks worth any time at all.
I am definitely down for a Batman VR game. I've never seen one or heard of one. I also don't have a MetaQuest 3, but like you said, if I can find one for cheap, I will definitely try and get one. So,
Batman Arkham VR was just not there. But if you look at any of the footage of this game, holy hell, it looks so kinetic and fun. The combat looks really enjoyable. All of the various tools look really cool, in particular, the grappling gun. This game is technically a prequel. It takes place between Arkham Origins and Arkham Asylum. It has a new villain, the Rat King.
If I were to get this game, I would play it in a Batman costume. Under no circumstances will I not play this game in a Batman costume. What?
Honestly, don't care a whole lot about the new villain. I'm sure he'll be fine, but what I'm really here for is all of the classic Arkham-style exploration and locations and characters, and really just the gameplay that we've seen. It really looks like it manages to capture what makes Arkham Asylum and the subsequent games so much fun in a VR experience. Like, it really does look like you're going to be able to feel like you're a billionaire lunatic out punching bad guys on the street at night. I think if you're a fan...
Well, you're going to lose a sub if you talk like that now. Bruce Wayne is not a lunatic. Let's get that through our heads. Let's make that clear. He's not a lunatic.
Of the Arkham games, or just looking for a really exciting and kinetic looking VR experience, to me it looks like Arkham Shadow is actually going to nail it. I might be wrong, but all things are pointing to me not being wrong on this one, in my opinion. We don't...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I mean, that looks pretty good. It's a VR game, which is a little rough. You got to pay some money and then pay some money to get the game. If you know what I mean, you got to buy the VR and then buy the game. So that's a little rough, but yeah, I definitely would be checking that out. I'll keep my eye out for a MetaQuest 3 if the opportunity presents itself, and we'll get it for sure. Would you stop it?
Life is Strange Double Exposure is a new entry in the franchise featuring the original protagonist, Max Caulfield. Honestly, like, this series is such a weird series. It's one of those things that's kind of embarrassing to admit that you really like, but I really like them. I don't relate to any of these characters. They're completely outside of my purview. I am not a punk teenager. I wasn't particularly alternative back then.
I was gonna stop right there. I don't give two shits about this game at all. This series, none of it. Life is Strange Double Exposure. If you guys are into the Life is Strange franchise or whatever, be on the lookout for this game coming out next month. I do not give a fuck. So on to the next one.
Quiet Place: The Road Ahead, a first-person survival horror game developed by...
Okay, Quiet Place. I love the Quiet Place series. Yeah, I love the Quiet Place franchise. So a game. What?
Storm Mind Games. Obviously, A Quiet Place is probably an actually pretty damn good idea for a game crossover. This particular one doesn't involve any of the characters from the movies, but instead a young woman, attempting to not get killed by a nightmare with really good hearing. So this game is oriented towards stealth. I would hope that that would be how it works out. You don't get a lot of tools. You're primarily using your environment. You're scavenging. You're trying not to die. And also there is a narrative and story and characters, interpersonal drama. Honestly, when they announced this game, I had a little bit of mild skepticism because it seems like such a good idea for a game, but at the same time, it's also a movie crossover franchise, which can, lend itself to bad games. And unfortunately, I get extra skeptical when it's something that I know very well could be good and is, well, I mean, they have a few games under their belt, but they're not games I'm really particularly familiar with.
Yeah, I'm big into horror. Anyone who knows the channel or watches live streams or whatever knows that I'm really big into horror games, movies, all of it. Not too big on stealth, but it's not like a killer for me. And in this franchise, obviously stealth is like the number one weapon that you need to have. So I'd be willing to check this game out. Definitely looks good, looks exciting, looks like there's going to be some really tense moments. So definitely worth a buy.
Easily looks like their highest profile game. Their other games are not licensed games, at least not that I'm aware of, so it's not like they've been pumping out crappy licensed games or anything, so I do think that there's hope, and like I said, the idea for it is just kind of automatically good. I don't want to poison the well, but I also want to express that I think it could go either way because honestly it's such a this should be a good game idea that for some reason I just can't help but think it would also be really easy to screw up for some reason.
Oh, it would. It would be. This is like a really loved franchise. There's already lore and stuff to build off of. So it just comes down to hoping that this does the movies justice. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. If she doesn't break my mic.
6 is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, a 3D action.
I said sparkling. I've been calling it Sparkling Zero. It's sparking. Oh my god. What am I doing? Well, either way, regardless, I already pre-ordered this. Got the Ultimate Edition. So next month on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, I believe, I will be playing this, probably live streaming. And yeah, either I'll be live streaming the 7th, 8th, and 9th, or I'll be playing and then uploading a video towards the night of the 9th or so. But we will be playing this game.
Action fighting game that it's not like a 2D fighting game like Street Fighter. It's more like the previous Budokai Tenkaichi series of Dragon Ball games, which, if you were unfamiliar, is a series of Dragon Ball fighting games that ended in 2008. So it's been a very, very long time. This game is actually Budokai Tenkaichi 4. It's the first of the series that is actually using the Japanese name, which is actually less Japanese sounding. The series is known as Dragon Ball Sparking in Japan. This is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Honestly, this was a series that I really enjoyed. I played 1 through 3 back in the day. They are fun as hell. And from all of the gameplay and trailers I have seen, it looks like the core gameplay is preserved. I'm sure they've modernized some things, but they have added new things like fusion mechanics, so you can combine, like, for instance, Goku and Vegeta to Vegito or Gogeta. I don't know. If you play video games...
Gogeta's crazy.
in the mid 2000s. And, you know, I'm not heavily into anime, but, like, as far as anime goes, Dragon Ball Z is definitely a go-to. And for me, that was what got me into these games. The games are fun as hell, and I couldn't be happier they're releasing a new one. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is coming October 10th.
Yep. But we will be playing it on the 7th, 8th, and 9th on the channel. So subscribe and now to see that early.
PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. And number 5 is New World Eternum, an action RPG, the updated version of Amazon Games' original New World, and also coming out to consoles. It had previously been PC only. It's set in an alternate 17th century, which is mysterious and supernatural. You're shipwrecked on an island called Eternum. You end up fighting cursed creatures and exploring the ever so lush landscape. It's a game that, when it first came out, it actually had a lot of players, but the support has dwindled a bit. They couldn't quite keep the player count there, so this expansion is kind of something that needed to happen. They have a revamped narrative, improved combat mechanics, some new character archetypes, and also 10-player raids have been incorporated. It does retain the crafting system and the PvP system from the original game, but moves away from the more rigid MMORPG structure and focuses a bit more on solo and story-driven gameplay. I think that's kind of the right move, because I think it gives people something more narratively interesting to do.
I don't think... What is your deal? Yeah, I don't think this game has a shot of lasting. He already said that it kind of fell off due to lack of support. This kind of game genre already is like super busy, full, competitive, rather. What are you doing? She has been fighting me throughout this whole video. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't really say it looks cool. It kind of looks like I've seen it 100 times over. But off like initial reaction here, I'm not really interested. Won't be something that I'd look into.
When they're not doing the MMORPG stuff, which is still there, the multiplayer options and stuff is still available, and you're going to have cross-platform play between the PC and consoles. So I think the player count is going to be a lot better, and also having a lot of the mechanics from the original.
I mean, swords, guns, that's a wide range of... I don't know. If it plays like Conan, maybe. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like something I'd honestly be into, regardless.
Original game where actually it's a pretty good game. It just doesn't quite pop how it needs to. The features, however, have been refined, and it looks like they're giving you a little bit more meat to chew on. I think this is honestly a really good development for this game because it had the bones of something good, and it sounds like that they took it in the direction that would make it good, particularly good. New World Eternum is landing on October 15th for the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC.
If it costs money, I'm not interested in it, but we'll definitely check some other people out who are playing it and see if it has promise.
Moving on to number 4 is Unknown 9 Awakening, an action-adventure game coming to us from Reflector Entertainment by way of Bandai Namco. Unknown 9 is not a sequel. There isn't an Unknown 1 through 8. Don't go looking for it. The 9 in the title is actually about the 9 ancient mysteries that are essentially what the franchise is about.
So right off rip, I noticed, I think that's the chick that plays, that stars in The Witcher. I forget her name.
It's not just a game. They have novels and other media out about it. It is built around the game. And I think it's interesting the way they're going about this. You don't really...
Why the hell was that so choppy?
Built around the game. And I think it's interesting the way they're going about this. You don't really see larger scale stuff like this come out with a video game first. I don't know if that's good. We shall see, of course. It does have an intriguing idea. The game's protagonist, Haruna, is somebody who can jump between dimensions. There's the regular dimension and the fold, which is, I'm sure, something similar to the alternate world we see in a few dimension jumping type games. But this seems to be pretty heavily story-oriented, although is an action-adventure game, so there is stuff to actually do. All of the marketing material talks about not only exploration, but also combat and stealth. There's a lot of potential with this one. They really went out of their way to create a new world to set a game in, and I'm interested to see if it pans out. Unknown 9 Awakening is coming out on October 18th for the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC.
That looks pretty cool. The combat looks pretty cool. Depending on what the story, like the kind of premise of the game or whatever, I might check it out. That won't be something that I get right off the bat. I'll probably, check out some reviews on it and stuff like that, but it looks pretty cool.
At number 3 is Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which is set in a particularly interesting period of time.
Okay. Here's my thing with the COD series. I am dog shit at multiplayer. I always have been. I particularly cared about zombies. I was a zombies player. So I will be looking out for what they do with zombies. As far as the campaign and multiplayer go, I really don't care. The movement and stuff, I'm already crap at it. I don't need to have a complicated movement system to make people even more godly versus me. So I don't know, but we'll check out the zombies, see how that goes.
The early 90s, and it
90s.
deals with the global upheaval after the Cold War's end. Obviously, there's 2 parts to any Call of Duty game. There is the single-player campaign and the multiplayer. In terms of the single-player, I think looks fun. We've got heists, we've got spy operations, espionage, the stuff that you would expect from a Black Ops game.
We don't need to look through this. You guys know COD. If you guys already know if you're going to be interested in this or not. It doesn't look like he talks about zombies at all, so I really don't care.
And number 2 is Dragon Age: The Veilguard, a game that we're all crossing our fingers is a nice big old return to form for BioWare, because BioWare's had some problems over the last quite a few years. Between the botched Mass Effect sequel, the botched flying robot armor game that frankly should have been an easy home run, but got bogged down with stupid live service shit, BioWare said, you know what, let's continue the Dreadwolf storyline from Dragon Age, because I think people will want that. It's not unfamiliar. It's not taking, a popular franchise of theirs and telling a completely different story in a completely different place, devoid of any real stakes. And it's not a completely new IP.
I was gonna say, with it not being a new IP, there's a fan base established already, so that'll be good for them. I don't know much about Dragon Age. I really don't know anything at all. I would feel weird hopping in at this game, so I'm probably not gonna, check it out. But
it's basically easy mode if BioWare does what they should do. Now, the thing that's interesting about Dragon Age is that they haven't really settled on what Dragon Age gameplay actually is. It varies a little bit from game to game, and this one looks like it's going into a more action-oriented type gameplay. And I think that's good, because the stuff that worked best in Inquisition, in my opinion, was the action-oriented gameplay. If they're leaning further into that, and by all accounts they are, if you look at any footage of the game, it looks like something that could actually be quite good. Now, just like with Black Ops 6, there are concerns. Obviously, their previous massive failure, that is Anthem. I haven't even said the name of that here. I think Anthem is such a prize. It's like the bad live service flying robot armor game. Anthem, it was terrible. With that as their most recent failure, there are people that are very concerned there's going to be live service elements that end up in this one. I really hope this is not the case, because
it looks like it's heavily focused on story. So I don't know, like that and stories and like narration and cutscenes and stuff like that. You don't typically see that in live service games. So I mean, if you're a Dragon Age fan, that's looking up.
It looks like
it looks like they put a lot of effort into these like cutscenes and stuff.
Looking to focus on characters and narrative, which is exactly what they should be doing. As long as the combat sits neatly in with those things, they have an easy hit on their hands.
Yeah, well, if you guys are looking forward to that'll come out next month. And let's go to number 1.
And finally, at number 1 is the Silent Hill 2 remake. So this is...
All right. Before he starts going, I'm tired of remakes. I'm sick of remakes. I don't care about the remakes. I don't care. Silent Hill was a cool movie franchise. I liked it. I thought it was cool. Pyramid Head freaks the fuck out of me. That's Silent Hill, right? I think that's Silent Hill. I might be wrong on that. But either way, I'm like, when I hear remake, it automatically throws me off. But I mean, we'll see. This is going to be narrative. It's going to be one single player. It's going to be all about the story. It's going to be survival. It's going to be making the best of your resources. You're not going to have a lot of them. And there's probably not going to be any DLC. There's not going to be there's nothing to do in game. Like, that's probably what this is going to be like. It's just
This has
not where I'm
been
at
something
right
that's
now.
kind of
I'm
been
not interested.
controversial for a while. People have been kind of nervous about this one because Silent Hill is a beloved franchise, and Silent Hill 2 in particular is a beloved game. It's one of the games that really helped establish a lot of video game tropes that I think are good, and very few games have the kind of atmosphere that Silent Hill 2 does. Bloober Team is a developer that has put out some decent games and some duds, and I think people are kind of worried about it for that reason in particular. The remake updates the original's gameplay to be a lot more like the Resident Evil remakes, and thus people worry that it kind of changes the tone to be a little more action heavy. I'm sure to some extent this might be a little bit true, but I don't know how true it is. We've seen some combat system stuff. I don't think that it looks bad, and I think it actually looks enjoyable. And some others have also found the decision to replace the original voice actors not great, but also we have to remember Silent Hill 2 came out in 2001. That was 24 years ago. I think if you're doing what Bloober Team is doing with Silent Hill, which is giving it the Resident Evil remake treatment, it's appropriate to do exactly that. I'm sure the game's not going to be exactly the same in content, and we're already well aware that it's not the same in form. It's also Bloober Team's kind of opportunity to make it, so to speak. It'll put them on the world stage as a world-class developer if this game turns out well. So there's a lot at stake, and I think that they understand that. They've talked about it publicly. And again, everything I've seen of actual footage of the game, I think is promising. I think it's going to be good. I say that a little bit cautiously, but not as cautiously as with a couple of the other ones I've mentioned. A little concern here. I weirdly think this is going to be a very good remake. I don't know. There's something about it that looks correct to me.
You know, it's easy to say that when the original came out in 2001. Yeah, tell him. But obviously, 24 years later, it's gonna look better. So, So it looks good. I'm not into the whole narrative story. Make the most out of your resources, linears. Would you stop screaming at people? Just not really into that whole idea of a game. Nothing in in-game, no DLC. I don't know. But it looks good.
And we'll see if that pans out, of course. It could obviously be a disaster, but I'm certainly excited to play the Silent Hill remake when it lands on the PlayStation 5 and PC on October 8th. I do have some bonus games for you. The first is No More Room in Hell 2, co-op zombie survival horror game. This is an early access release, and it's basically going to be you and other players fending off waves of the undead and managing resources. Looks like a fun game for people who are looking for some hardcore survival action. That's
good.
Releasing in early access, like I said, on October 31st on the PC. Next is Sonic X Shadow Generations.
Also
It's
looks
a
good.
remaster of Sonic Generations with a
If this is multiplayer and it has all of the Sonic characters, like up to a certain point, I don't know when Silver gets into play and things like that, but I love Shadow. Shadow is like the coolest side character, number 2 man, like in almost in all of gaming to me. So like, and I loved his like original his solo game back when he was running around shooting people with guns and stuff. I loved that. So I honestly am looking forward to this game.
a bunch of new Shadow content. I think this is a great idea. We're getting a full remaster of Sonic Generations, which is a great game, and we're getting an entire new campaign for it with Shadow the Hedgehog. Frankly, that's just a new game, and you get it with a remaster of one of the better 3D Sonic games. That's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, PC, and Switch October 25th. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants Unleashed. I don't know if you've noticed, but the TMNT beat-em-ups in recent years have been quite good, but the Xboxes, PC, and Switch October 18th. Moving on, it's the Until Dawn remaster. This is by far the masterpiece of supermassive games, which I recently did the Before You Buy, their most recent. It was pretty underwhelming. It's clear that they do not have the budgets to make games like this anymore, and that's sad because Until Dawn is really a damn good game. I'm excited to see it with upgraded visuals on the PS5 and PC October 4th. We're also getting the Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred expansion this month.
We already have that. I thought. Pretty sure we already have that.
Universe. That's coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and PC October 8th. And finally, MechWarrior 5 Clans, a
Yeah, we're going to stop there. I don't give a fuck about mech. So anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. Be sure to leave a like And comment down below if you're interested in any of these games. Subscribe to the channel for more. Like I said, we're going to be playing Sparking Zero the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So, you know, subscribe for that. And yeah, that Sonic Shadow Generations thing, I'm looking into that one for sure. And yeah, thank you, gameranx, whatever the freak their channel name is, for the video. I'm going to link them in the description below. Be sure to go check out their video. This little butt has made this video impossible, but hey, we got it done. I will see you guys in the next one.